Hey, welcome to Plant It Where the Sun Don't Shine, a podcast for people looking for plant ideas that work well in shadier spots of the garden without relying on the much overused hosta. Do I hate hostas? No, not really, but I do like lots of other shade-loving plants and want to share some of them with you so you don't have to just rely on hostas when you're gardening in shadier locations. I'm Dr. Dennis. These are some of my favorites that you can plant where the sun don't shine. Welcome to episode 1 of Plant It Where the Sun Don't Shine. This is going to be a short overview of the podcast so that you know what you're getting into when you're listening to each episode. I'm Dr. Dennis, and I currently garden in Canada Plant Hardiness Zone 6A, which I will try to explain as we move through this podcast a little bit more about which plants do best in which zones, though I will encourage you to push some of those boundaries. Even though I'm in zone 6A, and you may be in different zones, it's worth still trying sometimes something that falls outside of the recommended parameters of planting because we have microclimates in our yards, we have microclimates in the zone in which we garden, and sometimes it's worth pushing those boundaries just because you might be very successful and have something that thrives in your garden, even though it's not the recommended zone. So just to say that those are guidelines, and I will try to explain them for the plants that I will be discussing in each episode. That's to say that each episode will be dedicated to one plant or one group of plants that I have had personal experience with, that I know do well in shady locations in the garden. And that's what this is all about. This is to give you some ideas because many friends over the years have come to me and saying, look, I want something that will grow really well in this location, and it doesn't get a lot of sun. So what do you recommend? Um, I come back often with a list of plants as opposed to a podcast, but this is now the opportunity to be able to share those same ideas rather than in written form by me talking about them and explaining my experiences and why I particularly like those plants that do really, really well in shady locations. If you came here looking for advice on hostas, this is not the place for you. While I don't mind hostas, and in fact, there's so much diversity that can be found now with hostas, it's hard to say that I don't like hostas, but they just are so overused when it comes to shady locations. And they do really well in the shade. It's for good reason that they get recommended. But yeah, not a fan. Just not probably going to be spending much time talking about them, even though I've just talked about them for a few moments now. But this will hopefully give you some new ideas, things that might not be the standard, things that might go well with other plants that you already have in your shady location, or just giving you some new ideas altogether that will help you fill out your collection of plants in your shady spots in your garden. So thank you so much. Really looking forward to this adventure. If you would like to follow along on Instagram, please do so. Plant It Where the Sun Don't Shine with Dr. Dennis. If you would like to write and send me your ideas or suggestions or thoughts about something you hear on this podcast, you can do that as well. Plant It Where the Sun Don't Shine at gmail.com. That's all one word, and there's no apostrophe used. So yeah, feel free to drop me a line, follow on Instagram, and I look forward to this adventure with you as we go ahead and plant it where the sun don't shine. Thanks for listening. Thanks also goes to Sherry Donegan, Jonathan Scott, and of course Ian Jefferson for brainstorming podcast name ideas with me. Credit goes to Sherry on that one. If you have thoughts or ideas you'd like to share, please email me at plantitwherethesundon'tshine at gmail.com. That's one word without the apostrophe. You can also follow the show on Instagram at plantitwherethesundon'tshine with Dr. Dennis. Hosting is provided by Spotify for podcasters. Until next time, thanks for listening. Go plant it where the sun don't shine.